Okay, so I've gone through the homework. I want to start with the little chart thing that I draw. Now, you don't have to redraw this, but just going through the thought process here. Our two options are that we start with are what and what. When I like draw out, figuring out what my type 1, type 2 are. And then we have two decisions to make from there. And then we either what or what. So either reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. Which path is type 1 error? So this one is type 1. This one is type 2. Sometimes people come up here and write stuff a little bit more specific with null hypothesis true, null hypothesis false. I didn't do that yesterday on purpose. But now that you've done a problem, I don't mind going and writing it in. So in this problem, our null hypothesis was that what? 35, is that what we said? Yeah. So the alternative would be so if the null hypothesis is false, we're actually saying what? So sometimes people come in here and actually write stuff like that within there. So it actually is true. Like, so the null hypothesis being false means that in reality, the mu actually is greater than 35 seconds. So sometimes people go back in and write stuff like that. So type 1, the null hypothesis is true, but we rejected it. So I'm going to erase these so I can still write on the slide. So when I said the way I want you to answer type 1 or type 2 is start with what question? What did the data decide? So we rejected it, which means the data said what? Why would we reject it? So how did I don't remember how I started the beginning of the last when I wrote it. It showed, okay. So the data showed, which means the sample we took, that sample showed that what? So they could make it, so I'm going to talk directional there, showed that they could hold their breath at least, I guess a mean of at least 35 seconds. I'll write this out better. So first question is, what did the data decide? Second question is what? Before that. What was actually true? So the data showed that they could hold their breath for at least a mean of 35 seconds, but what? So the consequence here would be what? So basically they chose to do it. And now so harsh consequence or not harsh consequence? They all died. Yeah, that's pretty harsh. So type 2 error is the other way I could have messed up. So a type 2 error, and now talking with other people, like, so I do data showed, and then we actually, sometimes it's easier to start with, like, so here, this part is my null hypothesis, or my alternative hypothesis, the direction of my alternative. They went with data show. The other section is what actually happened. So sometimes it's easier to write wherever the alternative direction is before you write the other one, even if I write it out of order like this. So I might go and then skip for now, and then make it easier on me and say, so what actually happened? It actually is true that what? So what would be here? So it actually is true that the students could have held their breath, but the data showed that the students wouldn't be able to. Would it last long enough? Maybe. I'm trying to avoid direction as much as possible. But so sometimes it's easier to actually write the one that's specific to wherever I write the direction of the alternative, and write that section first and then go back and write the other one. So that you're talking about directional here, and then you're saying, okay, not whatever I said there. And I've tried these a whole bunch of different ways. So like if you're writing this and you start with, it actually was true that the students could have held their breath a mean of at least 35 seconds, and then we could say, but the data showed. So like it doesn't have to be in this order. I've just learned over time that it's easier to stay consistent. So what would our consequence be here? So did you lose $1 million? So lost out on opportunity. Or lost out on a opportunity seems like it's still an option. What's a better word to put there? But we're saying we probably would have. Y'all see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like opportunity is fine, but then we're still saying it's like kind of upper chance. Like we probably would have won it, but we did just like that's fine right that way though. All right, so in this scenario, which one is worse, type 1 or type 2? Type 1. Type 1 is not always the worst. It's context specific as to which one is worse. One other thing I want to talk about that I'm just going to leave in this video is, okay, so p-value, let's write out our p-value context with no context. or p-value interpret with no context. What is p-value interpret as? Uh-huh. All right, so let's think about what we can answer for this problem. So I've got, let me just erase my places where things need to go. I think I erased them all. All right, so with the problem we just dealt with, can I plug in what goes here? So this one is, null hypothesis is what? So if that really is true, there is a, can I plug something in here? No, put into the problem of having a sample of, what of these can I write down from that problem? What could go here? This one is one we plug in. So what would I put there? More specific, symbol. And then what would be here? So there are times where I can answer part of p-value based off of what I have, right? This right here, if this number were 35, and there's obviously more that goes in it because of standard deviation, no, it doesn't. If this number were 35, what would our p-value be? No, if this number were 35, what would I know? Let's say we're doing it with a t. What would our test statistic be? This is a very easy answer. It's just getting to the point of thinking the right way. Why is it 0? So if this is the same as this, then this is what? 0. Doesn't matter what's on bottom. So if I give you one where I give you a p-value, so like if I told you this whole problem and I gave you the answer was a p-value of 0.0321, would you want to tell me x bar was 35? No. You would just say that it's whatever our x bar was. Does that make sense? I'm saying this specifically for tomorrow on purpose. I can say that whatever our group value is goes there without plugging in a number if I'm talking about one generic. That's the only part I need you to know.